This is the Soft Power Podcast, episode number 5. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. It took a few minutes to sink in this past week when I heard the news that several major global tech giants announced their employees could work from home forever. Forever is a long time. And this isn't a joke. These thousands of employees will have the option of having no commute and foregoing the social distancing and social etiquette, for that matter, that's required in shared private space, otherwise known as the office. If the likely majority of diehard extroverts who have been so unhappy cooped up at home do opt to return to the office simply because they thrive and, quite frankly, produce better in interactive environments, they're going to have to quickly come to terms with the new concept of together but separate at work. One thing that is going to define how we view leadership in these polar opposite work environments between those who are at the physical office and those at home is how you show up and how you're perceived in terms of your social capital. And as we've seen recently in this time of online meetings, what's behind the curtain isn't always pretty. We've had bosses and colleagues, coworkers, clients, patients, and customers open their homes to us by way of video. And in too many instances, there's been a stark, an almost drastic contrast between a particular person's appearance and demeanor when they're in the comfort of their own home and that buttoned up, neat, sometimes elegant, polished professional who you looked up to just weeks ago. You respected them implicitly, or you thought you knew, liked, and trusted them, or what I like to call the KLT factor, just based on their appearance. Now these qualities can turn us on or off in a nanosecond, and they're largely in the area of social capital. And your social capital is as much a reflection of who you are as your financial capital is. Let me paint a picture for you because I want to make sure that you get this so you can build your social capital as quickly and efficiently as possible. Picture your financial capital being what capital is, saved up wealth. And with that wealth, you purchase equipment, we'll call it. So in personal terms, real estate, cars, boats, Pelotons, you get the picture. Of course, you can also use that capital in service to others in the form of nonprofits and charitable donations. Social capital works pretty much the same way, with the difference being the reserves or wealth coming from interpersonal skills that are so strong and so magnetic, people can't help but being drawn toward you. They find reasons to like you almost instantly, and they'll support you in any way they can. Sometimes, oftentimes, more than professional colleagues that they've known longer and they have stronger ties to. So consider this. 85% of jobs are filled through networking. In other words, referrals. They're not through job listings. That, my friends, is social capital in action. And that's a big deal, particularly as this episode is being recorded mid-pandemic. And just a few days ago, I heard a statistic that some 70% of job offers to graduating college seniors had been rescinded thus far. That means that building your social capital and making those regular deposits is more important than ever. But I've always said that we all, regardless of where we are in life, and I mean from elementary and middle schools to corporate offices, and whether you're shy or introverted or simply lacking confidence and feeling self-conscious, you have to increase your social, soft, interpersonal, and people skills if you want to get what you want out of life. The best time to start building your social capital was 5 years ago, and the second best time is today. You want to start digging your well before you're thirsty and not wait for it to run dry, because at that point, you know you're in trouble. And with all that I've already shared, it likely won't surprise you that people who have built up social capital often find themselves in leadership roles because people naturally follow them. When you've built up social capital, you attract the attention of colleagues, employees, and customers. It helps draw people to your vision for the company or for the initiative that you have so that they'll want to invest in your success. That's pretty straightforward, right? Here's 5 things you need to know about social capital and what I believe is the easiest way to make it work for you, to make it actionable and make it easy for you to test out and let me know how it works for you. And these are designed for you to either use virtually or face-to-face. Now, the first one is to be completely authentic. People with social capital are sincere and they radiate authenticity. So if you aspire to have that capital that'll get you seen, heard, and understood, and possibly with a new job, you have to be real about who you are and what you have to offer. That's truly your differentiating factor. What you'll find is that others will respond positively to your honest demeanor and your transparency. And I'm not referring to transparency in terms of your oversharing. Certainly not. In fact, oversharing in professional settings is one of the fastest ways to lose respect. Be transparent by letting people know what they need to know and don't hold back, especially if they already have an inkling of what's coming. Next is self-confidence and self-deprecating humor. Now, I realize that tying these two together is a bit unusual, but hear me out. When you walk into an office or meeting or an exam room, I have many clients in the medical profession, with your shoulders back and your head held high, and you're in your online meeting box, looking sharp and well-dressed, even though your bed may just be a few feet away, you make appropriate direct eye contact. That would be looking directly at the camera the entire time if you're online and not at the monitor, because that makes you look weird. We don't want to look weird. That's always our bottom line. And you don't want to appear rushed, even if you are. You indicate to others a high, unshakable belief in yourself when you're able to carry off these little things. You don't necessarily have the answers to every question, problem, or issue, but you exude the attitude that nothing is too difficult for you to handle. And as for the self-deprecating humor, people that can admit to having a lack of knowledge or coming up short when someone was expecting them to have the answer and doing that with a smile are considered to be more approachable, trustworthy, and self-confident. Think of your social capital as coins being dropped into a piggy bank. You want that bank to be so jam-packed with coins that you have difficulty shaking them out. You need to be able to laugh about yourself in situations. Having a good sense of humor is a positive quality that will attract followers and admirers in the best possible way professionally. And to be clear, you don't have to be funny or witty per se, but you should be able to see the humor in everyday circumstances and situations. Too many people believe that admitting to shortcomings reveals vulnerability, but the best leaders, people we admire, are constantly judging their own capabilities as well as those of others. Third on my list for you is becoming eloquent and well-versed. In short, learn how to use words well when you speak. Building social capital depends not only on what you say, but how you say it. You want to be aware of your pacing or cadence and your tone. Your facial expressions come into play even more so in online meetings. Even though it may feel like you're revealing genuine emotions through your voice, people are looking at your facial expressions. Now, also keep in mind your knowledge makes an impact on others. So teach and share what you know, because when you teach something, you get to learn it twice. Did you know making conversation or small talk is the number one thing that people dislike? So now that I'm sharing this with you, this tip is our little secret. You will have greater social capital by keeping up on current events. That enables you to contribute freely and comfortable to conversations. When you're perceived as an eloquent, well-versed speaker, you'll draw people to you like a magnet because we're naturally attracted to people who speak with confidence, authority, and without BS. I have just 2 more action items for you today. The fourth tip I'm sharing to increase your social capital is to bring the energy and to be engaging. Whether it's a potential new employer or a customer where you want to make a sale, it's likely that you will become more interesting when you show a measure of enthusiasm. You as a social capitalist need to make things happen favorably for you. And sometimes that means simply bringing more light and brightness to a room. And because light and brightness are forms of energy, we'll call that magnetism. When your social capital is a source of energy to others, like it seems as if they're feeding off of it, and you're perceived as being engaging, you can more easily attract attention and motivate others. You'll also be in a better position to inspire a team to produce at high levels because your charm and charisma is another attractor factor. Finally today, and fifth on the list of actionable tips to build your social capital, is self-awareness. When you're self-aware, you're able to see yourself how others see you and modify your behavior accordingly. You'll also be able to identify the emotions you're experiencing at any given time and recognize your true strengths and weaknesses so that you won't waste your time or someone else's time for that matter in a fruitless pursuit of something you already know from experience is not an ideal fit with your skill set. Self-awareness is my personal favorite quadrant of emotional intelligence because it requires you to be so in tune to yourself and how you're relating to another person and using your social capital to perhaps sway an opinion or an outcome. It's very powerful because it often reveals you to be a person who listens more than you speak. Therefore, people feel more comfortable in conversation with you. You're generally more curious about the needs of others, and so you're very inclusive, and people look up to people who always include them or they seek to include them. Also, to keep your social capital at a high level, you'll be more likely to ask for feedback from others, and you'll also take that feedback into account and use it. Now, on the flip side, we could make an argument that the reason there's so much hate and unhappiness in the world is because of a lack of self-awareness. You can see this daily in the way people spew venom at each other. You see it in the media, on the big screen, in real life. I mean, read the comments posted for the most lighthearted and innocuous articles. Well, there you have it. I've just given you 5 action steps to build your social capital and in return, get whatever you desire in life and business. They were, number 1, you're being your true, authentic self. Number 2, bringing not just confidence, but also self-deprecating humor to situations. Number 3, being an eloquent and well-versed conversationalist. Number 4, bringing energy and being engaging. And number 5, being self-aware. Just those qualities alone will empower you like never before. But if you find it difficult to speak up, assert yourself, and get the recognition you deserve, I'm inviting you to get on the wait list for Quiet Charismatic. It's the number 1 proven step-by-step system to help you stand out and step towards the spotlight. You can get on the list by going to businessclass.expert and clicking on the banner. Social capital is arguably as valuable as financial capital. So be just as conscious as you accumulate it and avoid squandering it, because moving forward, you're going to need it more than ever. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.